get the money you need. Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
It's a new way to plan your day. Get the weather information you need from Marshall Cease and Heather Tesh, including your local forecast on the 8th. Tune into Your Weather Today, weekday mornings from 7 till 9 Eastern on the Weather Channel.
It's a nasty day in New York as the northeast blizzard sweeps in and takes hold of the area. More than 6 inches have already fallen and wind gusts are whipping up to 35 miles per hour. And the storm is also affecting Philadelphia. Flights have been canceled as the city deals with the snow emergency. Winds are up to 30 miles per hour and up to a foot of snow could fall before it's over. We'll tell you where the storm is headed next and what you can expect.
I'm Mike Seidel in Auburn, Massachusetts. Here in most of Massachusetts, the snow and sleet and freezing rain, they backed off for now, but more in the forecast. I'll have a live report coming up in just a moment.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Weather Center. I'm Janetta Jones. The blizzard continues in the Northeast. Heavy snow and high winds are quickly moving up the coast. If you have to be outdoors, get prepared for the worst from the Carolinas to New England. Here's a look at the projected impact of the blizzard. Expect very hazardous driving conditions. Also expect delays at the airports. Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. has been shut down for the rest of the day. Check ahead as the snow is shutting down other runways and many flights are canceled. Schools are closed and government offices in D.C., Philadelphia, and other cities are also closed. Taking a closer look at the Northeast, we can tell you this. It is definitely very, very dangerous out there in the Northeast. If you're not getting snow and you think it's all over, think again. Don't let your guard down because some areas are getting a little bit of drier air working in here, but it's not over. As this area of low pressure continues to move northerly, we think we're going to be seeing quite a bit of changeover. Some locations may be getting sleet and snow now, could change over to a little bit of rain and freezing rain, and then back over to snow. So it's just going to be a mess, and some locations have already picked up over a foot of snow. In case in point, Washington, D.C., where it is 27 degrees right now, you've already picked up about 12 inches of snow. You've seen blizzard conditions. You factor in the wind, it feels like 4 below at this point. So it is dangerously cold out there. It's 3 below. That's what it feels like in Boston, and it feels like 9 in Philadelphia. So a nasty day out there and a lot of problems on the roadways. Our own Mike Seidel is standing by in Auburn, Massachusetts. Mike, can you tell us what conditions are like right now?
Not too bad right now, Janetta. The snow plows and crews have had a chance to catch up after all that heavy snowfall this morning, not only here in Auburn near Worcester, but also in Boston. And you know, with this heavy wet snow in Boston this morning, you got to get out there, you got to clean it up, whether you're shoveling it, using the plow, the snow blower, or you're driving one of those big plows. It's always tough, especially when there's heavy wet snow. It's certainly not a good idea if you've got any kind of park condition. We drove out here on the Mass Pike. Take a look at the Mass Pike right now, and it's in great shape. It's wet, but they still have a speed restriction of 40 miles an hour. They had triple plows going up and down the Mass Pike, getting things back in order. Now that the snow has backed off, at least for now, they've been able to catch up out here in this part of Massachusetts, and in fact all the way on 90 back into the Boston area. Let's take a snow measurement. I measured earlier, and again I certainly made the point that it's hard to get a good measurement when you have this much wind. Boy, these wind chills are down to about 10 below zero. Let's stick the old Weather Channel ruler in the snow. See, right there we've got about 2 inches. Now you move over here and you get about 5 inches. And we'll go over here a little bit more and see if we get another measurement. And now we have 6 inches. So it just gives you an idea that in some areas you're going to have some drifting and higher amounts than in some areas, like right here in front of me, we've got bare ground, just rocks down here and a little bit of snow. That's another concern tonight. Additional snow, sleet, some freezing rain will change over to all snow, but drifting on these back roads, which haven't been cleared, at least not to the point of this where there's been a lot of salt. And on a positive note, Logan Airport just reopened at 3:15. All runways are open. However, with all the airline traffic canceled, many flights canceled, there aren't many planes to come in. And that's that. Check with your air carrier, especially US Air, the major airline here in the Northeast. Let's get the latest now from Paul Kosten, our winter weather expert, on what we can expect here in the Boston area and in the Northeast for the rest of this afternoon and tonight. Paul?
Okay, Mike, for the Boston area, Europe entered into some more drier air at mid-levels, so your precipitation for the most part is going to be very spotty for the rest of the day. But let's take a look at the storm system as it's developing now and where it's going to go and what it's going to do. Right now, low pressure spinning off of the Virginia coast. By later this evening, it's going to move to a position right about off here across eastern Long Island, and by tomorrow morning it should be zooming across the state of Maine, and that's where we'll see a beginning to the end of this particular storm system. A fairly disorganized mass of precipitation right now. The main snow band right about here across the mid-Atlantic states. We see some enhanced moisture coming into the Philadelphia to New York region. Your temperatures are low enough that it's snow, sleet, freezing rain. This area in here is where we're seeing the bulk of the heavy snow. That's across Richmond, eastern Virginia into Norfolk, where you're getting very heavy snowfall rates. And it's a little bit more disorganized across Pennsylvania and New York. We will still wait to see over the course of the evening as the low begins to move north whether that area across this particular region begins to fill in a little more. But we're seeing a fairly large break in the precipitation across eastern New England, and we'll see across northern New England some occasionally heavy snow. But across Maine, as the low moves across your area, you'll see a change to rain and freezing rain and sleet as well. But let's focus in on some of the larger metropolitan areas. The main concern still lies around the Washington, Baltimore to Richmond corridor. We still see bands of moisture feeding into the main band, and still over the next several hours we'll see a continuation of this band very slowly redevelop towards the east side. We've already seen that with heavy snows in the Norfolk area. That will continue for the next several hours before moving off to the east and drying out. But of course, according to the radar, we can see across the Philadelphia to New York region, it looks like we're just getting some returns disappearing at the last minute. But it still looks like we'll see a continuation of moisture feeding in, occasional light to occasionally moderate freezing rain, sleet, and snow continuing probably throughout the evening. So a complex storm system that's going to continue riding up to the northeast. Worst conditions are going to be in the Baltimore, Washington, Richmond area. Philly, New York, you'll be sort of marginally bad. Those conditions will continue through this evening. Let's go now to Janetta Jones.
All right, thanks a lot, Paul. In the southeast, the snow continues in North Carolina, although it is letting up significantly. In Raleigh, you have picked up over 20 inches of snow, and now finally coming to an end. But what a rough time you have seen, with 15 of those inches falling in just 4 hours from the overnight hours into this morning. And we are expecting temperatures tonight to dip down into the 20s. Schools have closed, roads have had to be shut down, a lot of people without power. It's a mess in parts of North Carolina, as you might well imagine. Next front moving through, will it bring heavy snow? Probably not. We may see some snow showers in Nashville and North Georgia and on into parts of the Appalachians, but that will be about it as we take you on through the early evening hours. You can see how the snow showers will move on into parts of North Carolina and even South Carolina, but not heavy accumulations expected. 27 right now in Nashville, just above the freezing mark in Atlanta and Raleigh for that matter. We've got 20s in Chicago and Detroit, 14 in Minneapolis. Another front moving through, some light snow showers being felt across this particular region, and some lake effect snow off of Lake Michigan. Probably about 3 to 6 inches of snow here. Elsewhere, a light accumulation of 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches of snow. So nothing compared to what's going on in the Northeast. This week we have seen heavy amounts of rain in California. Temperatures are fairly mild, so that's not a huge concern. But in San Francisco and surrounding areas, we've had reports of as much as 6.5 inches of rain. And that is a lot of rain, folks. Ground is already saturated. Scattered showers still in the forecast. The heavy rain is pretty much over, but we still have flash flood watches in effect. If we do get showers today, that will add insult to injury. And we are seeing some scattered showers between Los Angeles and San Diego, so keep that umbrella handy in Southern California. Much needed rain, though, I might add. Into San Francisco, well, expect a lot more snow in the Sierra, about another foot, in addition to the 3 to 4 feet of snow you've already received. So great news for the ski resorts. Later on tonight, we're still going to be watching very closely what's going on with this storm system in the Northeast. A lot more wind, freezing rain and snow. By tomorrow morning, if there is going to be a rush hour commute, it will be snowy in Boston with a lot more wind to blow and drift all of that snow around. By tomorrow evening, things will finally start to calm down a little bit, and maybe we can shovel out from underneath all of this snow. But another storm brewing in the southwest, which is going to prove to be very interesting for folks across the south over the next several days. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Stay tuned for a look at road conditions on our Travel Wise segment. That's next.